Digital photography. We're going to look at reviewing cameras, taking photographs, and adjusting our settings. We want to have knowledge of basic cameras, transfer our images from a digital camera to a computer, use good composition skills to take photos, photograph images with different techniques, and use our camera settings to modify an image, as well as adjusting the camera's white balance to improve the image. DSLR versus point and shoot. DSLR cameras fall into two basic categories. DSLR, or digital single lens reflex, which is a camera that uses a mirror system to capture an image, and point and shoot is a camera designed to be easy to use with preset functions. DSLR cameras are designed for professional or serious amateur photographers who are most interested in the image quality. Point and shoot cameras are designed for the more casual photographer who's looking for ease of use and convenience. DSLR cameras are better image quality, more adaptability, faster performance, more manual control, and WYSIWYG. WYSIWYG means in a DSLR, what you see through the viewfinder is essentially what the camera is going to pick up. Some camera features: shooting modes. A jog or mode dial is the type of a wheel or dial on a camera that makes it possible to scroll through setting options by rotating. Usually you have auto mode, manual mode, macro or close-up mode, and landscape mode. Megapixel is a unit of measurement equal to 1 million pixels. On a digital camera, the megapixels on an image sensor react to and record light to produce an image. The number of megapixels indicates the maximum image resolution of a camera. Optical versus digital zoom. With optical zoom, the camera lens physically moves to magnify your subject and make it appear closer. With digital zoom, the digital image sensor crops the area around your subject and digitally enlarges the subject through interpolation of pixels to fill the frame. File types. The default file format for most digital cameras is JPEG. Some professional or serious amateur photographers prefer cameras that can save an image in a RAW file format. RAW files include all of the image data without any compression or processing, and they must be processed by the photographer using conversion software on a computer. Mirrorless interchangeable lens cameras, or MILC, are a hybrid of compact and DSLR cameras. There's debate on whether the new hybrid cameras can eventually replace most point and shoot and DSLR cameras. So, taking care of our camera. Keep the lens cap on or the shutter closed, usually by turning off the camera when you're not using it. Keep the lens area clean by using a soft cloth designed especially for camera lenses. Be aware of dropping the camera even from a short distance, such as onto the counter. Never force a memory card in or pull it out if there's resistance. Never force an uncooperative switch. Instead, find out why the latch or door is unable to function. And never throw rechargeable camera batteries in the trash. They can leak toxins into the environment. Taking photographs. Candid photographs are unplanned photographs taken with little or no preparation or posing. Photographic composition is the selection and arrangement of design elements within a photograph. Elements are the building blocks, and composition is the arrangement of the blocks to create a final product. Elements of design include things like lines, shapes, color, and lighting. Principles of composition include unity, balance, perspective, and emphasis. A focal point is the element within an image on which the viewer's eye focuses. It is the most important element on which you want a viewer to focus, and use simple principles of composition to organize other elements in the image to direct your viewer's attention to the focal point of the image. The rule of thirds states that an image should be divided into an imaginary grid of 9 equal parts, and that the focal point should be placed at or close to the point where the lines of the grid intersect. Rule of thirds is an important concept that you'll hear about in many aspects of digital media, from graphic design and web design, and even video production. Framing is using elements in a scene to visually surround your subject and make it stand out. One key to framing is to make sure that the frame does not draw too much attention to itself. The objective is to focus on the subject. Leading lines are the actual or suggested lines in an image that draw a viewer's eye through an image in a specific direction, usually to the focal point. Lines can be straight, curved, vertical, horizontal, or even diagonal. Cropping in photo composition means including all of the elements you want and excluding anything you don't want. You remove unnecessary clutter in the background or surrounding your subject that will distract from your focal point. Fill the frame by eliminating unwanted elements and allowing the subject to occupy more space. Front lighting comes from behind the camera and illuminates the front of the subject, producing few or no shadows. In side lighting, light is directed at the subject from either the left or right side, creating lots of shadows and highlights. In backlighting, the light shines from behind the subject towards the camera. Shape and outline of the subject are emphasized, but other details are mostly lost in shadow. Clues the brain uses to perceive an object as three-dimensional include the contrast between light and shadow, the size and relative position of items or perspectives. Cameras take three-dimensional scenes and record them on the flat, two-dimensional surface of a photograph. There's no third dimension of actual depth in a photograph. The brain uses the same visual clues in a photograph to perceive the illusion of depth. Perspective. In photography, what makes items look larger and closer or smaller and further away is your perspective, and it can be used to create depth and express a story about a subject. Shooting from a low angle makes the subject appear bigger and more important, and shooting from a higher angle will diminish the subject. Foreground, middle ground, and background. A way to create depth in your photos is to make sure that you have elements in three dimensions: the back, the middle, and the foreground. Add depth by adding another element in front of your main subject. The rise of digital photography means challenges for film manufacturers like Kodak, Fuji, and Polaroid. How did these businesses each respond to the challenges, and what do you think the overall outcomes were? And what do you think these industries can learn about being ready for technological advances, because we all know more are coming? So some basics. Three components that a camera uses to capture an image are the shutter speed, aperture settings, and the ISO. The shutter speed is how fast the lens opens and closes. The aperture settings is how wide the lens opens to let in light, and the ISO speed at which the film captures the image. Many cameras provide a preset special image type such as a macro or close-up setting, and a distance setting or a sports setting. Shutter speed adjusts to achieve specific and desired effects. The aperture is the changing the aperture settings determines the depth of field, and it's measured in f numbers, often referred to as f-stop or f-ratio. ISO. Low ISO settings capture an image sharply with few extra pixels or graininess. High ISO settings work hard to capture an image in low light, but the result is that the image has artifacts. Light is described as having various color temperatures, measured in kelvins. White balance means that the camera attempts to make white look truly white without the yellowness of a candle or the blue of an overcast day. Here you can see the different Kelvin measurements. So some key concepts to take away. Digital cameras fall into two categories: point and shoot and DSLR. Some people choose DSLR cameras for high image quality, more adaptability, faster performance, and more manual control as compared to point and shoot. Point and shoot cameras are generally less expensive, less bulky, and easier to use than DSLR. And a wide range of shooting modes on a point and shoot camera can help to take better pictures in a bigger variety of situations. Cameras measure the possible image size by using megapixels. You should consider how you will use images when determining how many megapixels you need in a camera. In optical zoom, the camera lens actually moves to magnify a subject. In digital zoom, the image processor crops the area around the subject, and it's used interpolation to make it appear bigger. A wide range of shooting modes on a point-and-shoot camera can help you take better pictures in a bigger variety of situations. Cameras measure the possible image size by using megapixels. You should consider how you will use images when you determine how many megapixels you need in a camera. In optical zoom, the camera lens actually moves to magnify a subject. In digital zoom, the image processor crops the area around the subject and you get interpolation. Digital cameras must be treated carefully to prevent damage. Photographic composition requires the photographer to consider the focal point, the rule of thirds, framing, leading lines, and depth. Shutter speed, aperture, and ISO determine the way a photograph is actually captured. If you have any questions, just let me know.